guys, and I would like to welcome all of you in my new course, which is Solid Principles, which we are going to learn with C programming language. Myself, Maruti Makwana, and by profession, I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I mostly train IT corporates and the employees of IT corporates, and I mostly train them on different Microsoft technologies as well as some non-Microsoft technologies also. Started from C I do trainings on cloud technologies as well as some of the non-Microsoft technologies like Angular. In my profile, I have given training in all these organizations up to this day, and I'm in this training field from last more than 13 years. Now, moving forward with the topic, as we know that this course is going to design based on solid principles. So let me add something which is very basic terms of solid principles, as well as I would like to mention in this particular video itself that how my course is going to be different than other online courses and what exactly you're going to learn inside this. Now, first of all, those who are totally new in solid principles or those who have heard about this but they do not know much about this, so I'm just sharing this thing that first of all, the solid is not one word, it's an acronym. This acronym stands for 5 different principles, and these are 5 basic principles which every developer has to keep in mind before they write any code inside their application. Most of the time, most developers do not learn solid principles in the beginning. They started writing a code by learning some basic concepts of object-oriented programming. Like, I'm sure, and this is actually my assumption, that most of the people who are going to see this course, they already know what is object-oriented programming approach, what is interface, class, inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, blah blah blah. Now, after understanding all those basic terms, when we develop an application, there are certain things which are going to be counted like a rules, or I can say you have to keep number of do's and don'ts in the mind. Now, these solid principles are few of the principles which are same. So these are those things which will help you decide whether you are going on a right architectural way or not. Let me tell you one thing. As I say, solid is an acronym. S stand for rule number 1, which is SRP, single responsibility principle. Now, each rule is actually associated with one particular do's and don't kind of scenario in that, and then inside that rule we have to understand that what exactly we should do and what we should not do. Now, in this case, single responsibility principle, O stand for open close principle, L stand for Liskov substitution principle, I stand for interface segregation principle, and D stand for dependency inversion principle. I'm not going to explain any of the principle right now because in this full course I'm going to explain each principle in depth with code. So it's not only going to be a theory, I am going to show you a code samples in my Visual Studio, and we are going to develop one small application which is going to follow all 5 rules in that one application. Now, most of the time when you learn this kind of principle online, this is a very famous and popular topic. So if you're going to Google right now solid principles in C#, you'll have more than 30 websites and blogs which are going to show you this thing. But in most of the places, they are going to show you each principle separately in a separate application. And that's where most developers get confused. Most of the time, each developer has to follow all 5 rules in one application. And they have to make sure that if they are following one of the principle or 2 of the principles in their code, they are going to take care of the other principles also, and they have to take care that other principles are not broken in that. So it's something like this: if I'm following single responsibility principle and open close principle, somewhere I have to make sure that I'm also not breaking dependency inversion principle or any other principles which are there. So these are 5 basic rules which you all have to follow while writing your code in the application. And after learning the solid principles, there are a few more basic things which you need to understand, or there are certain topics which are based on these principles. Like, I'm sure you all have heard about inversion of control, dependency injection, and this kind of important topics. Now, all these topics, if you want to get crystal clear idea about those things and you want to use that thing in the code, these 5 principles are actually base for that. If you heard about design patterns, I am going to continue in the design pattern after the solid principles, and I'm going to teach you how you can learn design patterns based on these 5 principles also. In short, if you are dealing with the code level architecture wise and code level perfection in your application development, then these 5 principles are the base, and that's what I'm going to cover in this course. Thank you so much for joining me in this course. Happy learning.